Hello seekers, welcome to Punneits Astrology, your one-stop astro channel. Sun is going to make its transit to the sign of Cancer, the Kark zodiac, and this transit is going to happen on 16th of July, and this will continue for 1 month before Sun makes its move into the sign of Leo around mid of August. So what this transit of Sun in Cancer means to us, let us try to discover that in brief. Before that, do not forget to hit like, subscribe and share, and hit the bell icon so that you never miss another update and you and me can stay connected. So subscribe and stay connected. Sun is the planet. Sun is the planet of ego. Sun is the planet of self-esteem. Sun is the planet of name, fame, prestige. He is the planet who rules father, karma. He is the planet who rules power, authority, government. He is the planet that controls or defines the soul and gives light to all other planets. Our life actually revolves around the sun, and usually the solar transit is kind of forgotten. But solar transit is very important because sun is the giver and controller of all other planets. He's the king, so you can't just avoid the king. Sun, when it moves into the sign of Cancer, you have to remember Cancer is a water zodiac and sun is fire. So if fire goes into the water, it means purification. It's a double purification process. The Jal Tattva meets with the Agni Tattva, and we all know that the border of Cancer zodiac and the Leo zodiac is known as first Gandanta point. That means the sun is in the exile, and he is not in the exile because he is thrown out of his kingdom, but he is kind of in going to long distance places for his purification. So this sun is kind of in isolation. The sun has taken some samadhi. So these are the factors by which we have to see the position of sun in the sign of Cancer. Kark Rashi or Cancer is the natural fourth house, and therefore it is the house of mother, it is the house of home. Whereas sun is the king himself, so king cannot be at home always. King has to be on the battlefield, among the subjects, among the public, to understand their need, and that is the actual power of sun. And that is why you say that sun is always exalted in the sign of Aries, because he can achieve, he can conquer in that sign. But in the sign of Cancer, he has this motherly feeling attached to him. He is emotional, and this is an emotion that can trigger ego, and this is an emotion that can hurt self-esteem, or this is an emotion that can create a lot of anger and the confidence issues in your life. Because sun is too far away from his home, his energy is a bit weaker in this particular house. Also, if you see the natural fourth house, which is Cancer, is actually the house of midnight. That means it's the house of darkness, it's the house controlled by moon. So moon actually reflects light of sun, but when sun actually goes into the moon's house, although moon is the friend's house, but the factors, the ambience, the environment is actually not favorable to sun. So how will you actually define the sun movement in the sign of Aries, which happens every year? You have to define the sun movement with conjunction with the placement of other planets, with the aspects of other planets, and in relation to that. So the transit of sun is always relative, because the solar transit is kind of fixed, because the movement of earth and sun rotation is kind of fixed. So you will always see the solar transits fixed, happening at a fixed timeline, approximately around the same date, and therefore other planets plays the greater role. Now, there are a couple of factors here that you have to understand for this solar transit. Sun is far away, therefore the king is not in his great strength, not in the great power. The king is emotional. That means you have to be very strong from inside, because this sun transit can make you emotionally vulnerable, volatile. So the emotions can go up and down like the waves of ocean. It's like a hot ball is placed in the bed of an ocean, so the layers of water is going to get heated up, and that heat is going to come from inside. So long pent up emotion has to be released, otherwise it will burst out when sun will move into the sign of Cancer. In a way, sun is more motherly in this particular house. It's like a father also playing the role of mother. One more factor in this case is that Jupiter, whose house of exaltation is the Karka Rashi, Jupiter is right now 6th from this zodiac. So Jupiter is kind of placed in the enemy house of the sign of Cancer. But because Jupiter is a Swagrahi planet and Karka Rashi is the house where it gets exalted, he cannot be enemy to the sign where it gets exalted. So what exactly is this complicated relationship? So you see, Jupiter is actually giving or relaying the information of enemies to Sun. So Jupiter is wisdom. So this Sun knows where the enemies are, where the negativity is, where the problem is. And therefore it is very easy for the Sun to actually take note of the negative areas of the life, the negative problems of the life, and try to address it. There is one more area or one more factor that you have to understand, that Sun is being aspected directly by the planet Saturn. Saturn's direct aspect on the Sun is going to create revolt, is going to create a scenario where you are going to question authority, you're going to question yourself, and you will have this lack of self-confidence because Saturn is going to drag the Sun backward. You know, the force of Saturn is creating a vortex in the sign of Cancer, and Sun is getting pulled down and down and down. So you may have this sinking feeling, you may have this emotional feeling where the question of self-esteem, identity crisis, and question related to prestige, doubts on future will obviously be at its peak. There is one more reason for that. Rahu is actually in the 12th house from the Sun, and Rahu is in the Gemini going to the sign of Taurus. And what is so important about this Rahu's movement to the sign of Taurus? Because Taurus is the house of exaltation for the dispositor of Sun. So if Sun is in the house of Moon, Taurus is the house where Moon gets exalted, and that house is getting captured by Rahu. And that also aggravates Sun more. So the question about the future, the uncertainty, the insecurity, the fear of lack of resource will creep in when the Sun will make its move into the sign of Cancer. This is going to be an emotionally volatile period for all of us. So we have to be kind of quiet, composed, calm, and we have to be level-headed to understand the energy. What is unique about this transit is the position of Mars. Yes, Mars is placed 9th from the placement of Sun in the sign of Cancer. Mars is posited in the sign of Pisces. What is so special about this Mars? When Mars is in the sign of Pisces, if you carefully see, Mars will aspect Rahu because Mars' 4th aspect falls on the sign of Gemini. And it is the Dharma Sthan for the king. So if Sun is in a water sign, his Senapati is also in the water sign. So both Sun and Mars is in deep waters. One is in a river and one is in the ocean. And they are working for each other. They are working in close proximity towards each other. And what is Jupiter doing actually? Jupiter is trying to collect wealth or money for the king. This Jupiter is trying to create a scenario where there is a future possibility of the events to happen the way you want it. How? If you see the position of Jupiter from Sun, it is 6th. 6th house is the house of continuity. 6th house is the house of Upachaya Bhav, and Jupiter is retrograde. Obviously, retrograde Jupiter will not be an enemy to his master, his king Sun. And if you see the position of Jupiter from Mars, Jupiter is 10th from Mars, again an Upachaya houses, and 6th and 10th houses, we know the houses of job and career in a normal astrology. So this 6th and 10th house is the house where the karma is mostly seen, and karma of Jupiter is to bring out the wealth, bring out the support for the Sun and Mars, which it will gather and it will gain the maximum potential once they move into Aries and Leo, which is going to happen in the month of August. So you can say that this Sun transit in the sign of Cancer is slightly different from other Sun solar transit, and this solar transit is kind of preparatory period for the future efforts which these planets will put in. And therefore you will also fail to put in your efforts, pitch in your efforts, your preparatory efforts into your dreams, desires and wishes. And this also means that you may not get the result, but you will do some POC, and this is what you should do. You should do some POC for your dreams if you want to start something new. This time is, it may be slightly difficult for health-wise because both Sun, which is the Urja, the Tej, the vital force, and Mars, which is the blood, the energy, the enthusiasm, is in a water sign. Both are fiery planets, both are angry planets, both create anger, both are in a water sign. So in this 1 month, you have to closely observe how Moon is moving. A lot of people will face turbulent emotional stress, emotional rides, emotional ups and downs as the Moon progresses, especially when Moon will cross over the sign of Sagittarius. You will see maximum amount of impact Moon will create. Obviously, it's like rain. It is going to affect everybody, but how personally you are going to perceive that event will depend upon your own horoscope. Obviously, for that your own horoscope has to be analyzed, but on a general basis, this solar transit is going to be slightly turbulent on all of us. Nothing to fear, nothing to be worried about. It's more about emotions, it's more about confidence. So you need to always find a source of confidence. You need to always, you should always try to find a way out, and that way out, if you seek, you will get it, because Jupiter is already working for that way out. You need to give some time. You need to give time to time, and things will work out just the way they should be, because the future is bright. If the period is small period, shorter period, and the future is very strong and long, that means this short period, even though it may be a difficult phase, the future is bright and happy. How do I explain this? Say, take an example of tooth extraction. When you go to a dentist, there is a bad tooth and he asks you to extract that tooth, or you do some root canal treatment or some sort of treatment. Maybe at that point of time it may pain, but that solution, even though it's painful, will give you lifelong freedom from the misery and suffering. Consider this period like that. So in this period, there may be some chaos, there may be some disturbance, there may be some weakness. You may feel yourself vulnerable. You may feel that you're not that strong, but actually you are. All you have to do is look inside, do a deep dive, because Cancer and Pisces are actually river and ocean. It's like lake and ocean, and you have to do a deep dive. You have to go deep inside into that and try to find out how these planets are actually working, what is inside you, what special can you bring out of you. But yes, when Sun moves into the sign of Cancer, Sun is definitely going to give you a lot of unique perspective towards life, because Sun in the sign of Cancer is absolutely not comfortable. So he is totally out of his comfort zone, went all the way, moved 12 houses away from his own kingdom. For what? There has to be some purpose. King don't walk out so easily. There has to be some purpose, and that purpose is to uplift your own soul. So you have to observe 2 houses in your horoscope. One is Leo and one is Cancer. So you will see that the effect of Leo, wherever it is, 4th house, then 4th house attributes, 6th house, then 6th house attributes, will be resulting, and something will happen related to the house controlled by Leo from the house controlled by Cancer zodiac. So you have to combine these two and see what results it gives you. Also, if you are in Sun Mahadasha, Sun Antardasha, Moon Mahadasha, Moon Antardasha, then the impact of the Sun transit is going to be maximum on you. Or if you are a Leo ascendant, Leo zodiac, that means Leo moon sign, or Cancer ascendant and Cancer moon sign, the impact for you is going to be maximum. Again, I will repeat, Saturn's direct aspect on Sun is going to be very, very strict aspect. So you will see that a lot of people will criticize you. They may not motivate you. They may give you false motivation. You should not rely on the data perceived from the senses, and rather you need to analyze thoroughly and never get demotivated by even if you are said that you are of no value, because it should be you who should decide your worth and your value, and not the world. So what you have to do is you have to have this strong willpower. And because this is the bathing time of Sun, bathing purifies the body. When Sun goes into the sign of Cancer, it purifies the soul. And after that, what is happening? It's total power. Jupiter in Jupiter house, Mars in Mars house, and Sun is in Sun house. So that's the future for you. And this 1 month is going to be special. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching Punneits Astrology. This was a quick video on Sun transit in the sign of Cancer. I hope you like this video, and if you like it, do like, subscribe and share, and hit the bell icon so that you never miss another update. Namaste.